Yes, our God is a mountain mover, and you know what? He's still moving mountains every day. And the good news is He can move your mountains too. Hi there, this is Chuck Cooper, host of It's a God Thing radio program. Thank you for joining us today. We sure are glad you're here. You're about to listen to some awesome interviews with believers in Jesus Christ who will tell you how God has revealed and proved Himself to them by moving mountains they were unable to move by themselves. They say that their stories can only be described as a God thing. Ready for a real blessing? Alrighty then, let's do this God thing.
Well, we're privileged today to be visiting here with Chet Grimsley. Chet, I have to confess to you, you're one of the most unique individuals that I've ever interviewed. You have done so many things. You have been so willing to serve the Lord now wherever you go, and that wasn't always the case. But I am amazed at what the Lord has done for you. And so we're so thankful that you're willing to share that with us today. Now, you recently had a really God thing experience where the doctors relieved you from all this pain that you had been enduring for several years. So would you tell us about that, please?
During my career, I've had quite a few injuries, sports career and other. Just the last couple of years have been going downhill. I've had a lot of pain, some surgeries on the neck and bottom extremities, knees, shoulders. I also had a bullet removed. I know I was at home and I was able to sit there and think and pray a lot. And I know my Sunday school class, the followers, they prayed for me. Everybody prayed for me. And I was basically headed to Gainesville 30 days ago to have something else done, removed, which would probably put me in a nursing home. So we prayed more, and I called a doctor, and I hope everybody's listening to me. Get you a second opinion, because if I hadn't got a second opinion and prayed, I would not be talking to you today. I'd been in a nursing home. During the prayer, I was sent down to Emory University in Atlanta, where I met with a group, a Christian group, who sat down with me, that listened to me, that understood me, that knew about my background as being a football player, wrestler, weightlifter, etc., and certain things that have happened to me. And they also prayed for me and changed my medication, came back home, and said, come back in a week. Within about 4 hours of prayer, my knee stopped hurting. You gotta understand, I've had 4 knee surgeries. My back stopped hurting that night. I've had 3 back surgeries with rods. My neck stopped hurting. I got rods there too. And I guess it just kept on, the miracles, and I just said, Lord, what's happening here? I'm not hurting anymore, and I'm not on pain medication anymore. They had changed my medication to a simple nerve medication that would probably save me 5 years ago. But the major thing that really helped me was, the morning I woke up, I've always had a headache for 20-something years, 9 concussions I know of. And I said, Lord, thank you for everything you've done for me. And I didn't have a headache for the first time in the first morning, probably about 5 years. And I said, man, what else? I mean, it's just the blessings I was bestowed upon. And so we set up another appointment, and I was sort of scared because I didn't know what I was going to have to do with this next little surgery. So I went down to Emory again to see Dr. Emory, and he prayed for me, and he said, well, let's see what we can do here. So he did a minor surgery with me awake, and he got me up, and he said, Chet, I've dealt with people like you for a long time. He said, your dad was a sinner, and I was a sinner. And the funny thing, I thought he said sinner, but I was basically offensive lineman. And my dad played for Alabama at 6'9". He was a center. And my grandfather was a center. We snapped the ball a lot, and there was a lot of concussions there and contusions to your body. And he said, well, you got nerve damage. And he said, you shouldn't even have something removed, and you probably didn't need another surgery. He said, go home and see how you feel. And he prayed for me again, and we went home. And I'm here 2 weeks later, the best shape I've been since 1976. And this is honest God truth. And I just know through the Lord's works, He moves mountains, because He moved me, because I was about at the end of my rope. I listened, and God moved me to a second opinion. And people, you need to really get 2 and 3 opinions on yourself, because somebody's out there able to help you. I know it may take time, but be patient, because I'm a true witness of what the Lord has done for me today.
Let me ask you a question. Are you now pain-free?
Pain-free. I don't have any pain anywhere.
My goodness. And you had 9 concussions?
9 concussions in my life. I know. And plus, being a martial artist, at one time I think I ranked second in breaking bricks and boards with my head.
Oh, my goodness me. So your athletic endeavors and your athletic activities have now taken a toll on your body, and you were in constant pain for so many years, and now then you're sitting here and confessing that the Lord has healed you from that?
Yeah, I know the Lord's healed me from this, but the thing, He's healed me physically, but spiritually, I have gained so much spiritually listening to what the Lord needs me to do, and by leading by example, and I know I have a lot of work to do, but spiritually I can see myself growing along with the physical, because I know it was His works. He's given me a last chance of life here.
Well, Chet, that's an amazing story, but let me take you back a little bit about your athletic career. First of all, you were an outstanding football player in Atlanta, Terrell High School, is that right?
Terrell High School, Southwest Atlanta.
Southwest
Yes.
Atlanta. And then you did something very unusual for the age in which you graduated from high school. Tell us about that.
My dad was a all-state center from Tifton, Georgia, played University of Alabama. He was a center and had all kind of scholarships. He was 6'8", about 315, in the late 40s and early 50s, and he wanted me to go to X amount of colleges, and a black coach came to my high school, which was a black high school at the time. Their high school was predominantly black, and he said, "Son, we have a scholarship for you at Johnson C. Smith University in Charlotte, North Carolina." I says, "I don't even know where Charlotte is." I had to look it up on the map. I had heard about Charlotte, North Carolina before the internet, and he said, "You'll be one of the few whites come up there." My high school was pretty rough at the time. They were in Atlanta, Georgia. And he said, "This will be a nice place compared to where you're at." He said, "Will you accept it?" And my dad looked at me and says, "No, you need to go play at major colleges." And I was always the person to go against the grain. And I felt that this coach had a purpose. God had a purpose for me to go up there and share my testimony, because I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I didn't do any problems, and my mom had MS. I worked a night job, and testimony was that I lived by example.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to go up there and make an example, because he said to me that, I'll be one of the first white guys up there. They're bringing 3 of us up there, and so far only one made it. And I said, "Wow, who else is coming?" He said, "We got the best ball player out of South Carolina and no one out of Florida." I said, "Well, I'm just, your average, above average football player here from Atlanta," because you got to understand, during that year, we had Lucy Sanford went on to Buffalo Bills, Georgia Tech. Reggie Wilkes, Georgia Tech, went on to play Philadelphia Eagles. On and on and on, people out of the city of Atlanta that went on to play pro football from Georgia Tech, Alabama, major schools. I went up to Johnson C. Smith University. My dad, who stood 6'9", we ran into a guy named Big Willie from Philadelphia, who was 6'11". And you got to understand, back in those days, black colleges, blacks were not able to go to the white colleges as they are today. So I was looking at everybody. I'm 6'5", and I was one of the shortest guys up there. And my dad had never been intimidated by anyone. And he was standing there. He said, "Son, I'm going to give you $20, because Big Willie was looking sort of mean. And he was a big old fella. And he said, "Well, you need to go ahead and move your stuff over there, and your dad needs to get out of here." I never seen my dad run. He gave me $20. He said, "You're coming home tonight." I said, "Dad, I'm not going to be home tonight. I got a testimony to share here." And so he gave me that $20 bill, and he said, "Well, you're going to be home by the end of the night," because it was rough. It was, like I said, I hadn't seen the other 2 white guys yet, but it was just basically the size intimidation. I mean, everybody was 6'7", 6'8", 6'9". We had the number 1 draft choice, Billy Corbett. He was 6'8". We had Cleveland Browns, Willie Moore, 6'6". We had a tight end, 6'10". I've never seen people this size. My dad ran down the steps and left, and I guess the key to my story here, my testimony was, I brought 450 pounds of weights with me. I knew something I could contribute to these folks. We didn't have a weight room. People back then did not have a weight room. People said, "What?" No, they didn't have a weight room. I brought my own weights from my home and had to go 4 stores. No one helped me. No one, because everybody was against the grain, because they didn't know who I was. I took all my weights up there, and my mom had made me a chocolate cake. And I guess the key to the story is that, I prayed about it, and I was able to be associated with some good Christian folks, black gentlemen that really came forth, and we made myself a weight room. and my mom sent cakes. And we prayed together, we stayed together and maintained. And I just know that, through faith, we come this far and we're still friends to this day. And as a matter of fact, one of them is my best friend who was Canadian Football League's all-time sack leader from Hamilton, Grover Covington. He had 157 sacks, and his son plays for the Houston Texans. Number 95, Covington, that's his son, plays for him. And we're best friends. And his daughter just came in second in SEC for the University of Georgia, right over across the mountain, in shot put and discus. And a lot of us went on to play a little pro football, pro wrestling, junkyard dog. I played as a fraternity, and I just know that right now that everyone that I'm associated with has a Christian background, and I know they're missing me because I had all these injuries. And I did push myself a little harder than I should have. But now I got to start using my head. And the Lord has said, back up, Chet. I've given you the physical pain away. But now I need to get to spiritual and become a whole person again and keep building myself in baby steps because God does move mountains.
Yes, He does. And I have a question for you, Chet. In those days, how much difficulty did you have initially as the only white kid at an all-black college? How receptive were they to you?
Well, again, back then we went 3-a-days. And it was pretty hard. I mean, it was 3 days, sometimes the 3 hours. The football players, pretty much, we got along. But I did run into a lot of complications from other general people that were on the outside of the city of Charlotte. So.
Right. But you overcame that, and you became close friends. And like you said, you're still close friends for a lot of those teammates that you had. But yet, you had a great, great career in college.
I was most valuable player. I was the first white most valuable player ever in 1976 of a black college football All-American. I was the first
and
white.
then you went on to play professional football.
Yes, I went on for a little bit, played at Tampa Bay, and I played a couple of developmental leagues in the World League and wrestled.
And then you became a professional wrestler?
Yes, I went to professional wrestling school and did a little wrestling, as we call it, being a jobber and working around with Junkyard Dog and basically just like we said, it's just making a little money here and there. But I was a pretty good amateur wrestler. I was an all Army service wrestling champion, and I was a pretty good little wrestler here.
You're a pretty good athlete.
I was blessed. God blessed me, kept me out of trouble.
What brought you to Blairsville, Georgia?
Thank God, I went through some hard times. I met my wife, Donna, which her name was Wiggins. Her mom was the first nursing, pretty interesting story. Her mom was the first nurse instructor in Blairsville, and she opened up the first hospital. And if you go to Union County and see the little emblem, she's the one that did that. She used a quarter and drew it. Her name was Mona Wiggins. Her dad was Arnold Wiggins. He was a Marine and a Korean veteran. She brought me up here, showed me around, and I was healing from some other things. And she really got me interested into doing some right things. And she took me to church. As a matter of fact, we went to First Baptist. And she tried to guide me, and we ended up getting married.
Well, good. And so now then you're a full-time resident of Blairsville, and I know you're very active in your church. Tell me a little bit, Chet, about what your spiritual goals are now, not only for you, but also you've got a ministry.
Yes, my ministry, a lot of people don't know how lucky I'm here to be here. It hits a lot of things, but on July 27th, I'm also a member of a black organization. It's mixed up with a lot of football players and stuff. So July 27th was a big time for me during this time. And I won't speak on basically how faith's guided not only myself, but how far faith has guided us as all. Because I've seen, from 1974, I've seen a lot of these individuals, and I didn't think about this earlier. There's 2 individuals that went to school with me, now senators, black senators. And I used to talk to them. I said, look, man, y'all are very smart here. One day, somebody here is going to be a senator, a governor, or something. Everybody laughed at me. They moved up, and now they're senators and governors and everything else. It's just like people challenged me, said, we never had a white All-American here. God has an opening. I became a white All-American at a black college, and I'm in the Black Hall of Fame. So there's always opportunities. Don't tell somebody you can't do nothing, because God works wonders. And that's what I'm here about. And once he places you in these places, don't quit. Don't go against, like I said, against the grain. God moves, he gives you little indications to get better. Don't get stubborn. Don't get complacent. Well, I basically sat down for 2 years. And it's time for me to get up and let people know, I'm here. There's a reason I'm here. And we're here to let people know out there that God has helped me tremendously. My wife, God. And put God first. And don't be selfish. Because that does happen to a lot of athletes out there. You become selfish. You put yourself, you think that you're more than you are. And you put yourself above others. Don't do that. Because you will be humble.
Absolutely.
And I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I didn't do anything. I went out and did some things at older age, might have been tough end contest, cage fighting or something. That you got to learn. Sometimes you got to sit down and there's other avenues the Lord wants you to work. And I know my avenue is just like this radio program. If you listen to it, there's something out there that you can contribute. I know I can't no longer without I just had a bullet removed out of my shoulder and a new shoulder, new knee. I know now physically I can't do the things I used to. I get frustrated. But yet that doesn't mean with my background, doesn't mean I can't get out there and work with kids and show them the moves. I can't physically do it anymore, but there's ways that I can tell them, okay, well, you can train this way, you can do this. You need to go to bed early. It sounds crazy, but Lord, say your prayers at night, do the right thing. The Lord put you in places for a reason. I wouldn't have had that bullet in my shoulder if I would have prayed about it and hadn't bounced for $3.50 an hour. I wouldn't have been shot in the shoulder and had it in 35 years. It affected me to snap. Be in the right places. Pray. Do the right things. The Lord will show you an opportunity. But when, the devil works both ways. The devil can place you in a place and it can mess you up. Because, when I got my shoulder shot, I had to learn how to snap my left hand, my left arm. And that was tough. So I think about it all the time. I say, I pray about before I go places. I pray before I get on the road. I thank God that I made it home safely. Because every day's not given. Every minute's not given. Make the most of it. And find an avenue out there. And I'm going to find me one.
Well, I think you already have. Now, Chet, in the time we have remaining, you've written 2 books about your experiences, your life experiences. Tell us a little bit about them.
Right. It's called The White Golden Bull. Basically, it's about how fates put us together, but basically started this way as a college student. I took a class with Miss Amos, and Miss Amos was an English instructor, and everybody said, you shouldn't take her, Chet. She flunked her own husband. She was pretty tough, and she was a small black lady, and she sat me down, and she said to me, you got a great opportunity here. And I said, what's this? And I had failed to realize the other 2 white guys had already taken taxis out of town, so I was the only white guy left. And she said, you need to start writing your experiences. So you might not make it a month, but boy, you'll have a lot of experiences. Start journaling. I said, Miss Amos, what are you trying to tell me? She said, well, you might not make it long. Your other friends left, but you got an opportunity in this class to make the most of it. So I started journaling. And I ended up with a B in that class. I was there the whole year, and I ended up coming back to her my senior year with a little manuscript because the coaches determined, which were both for Purple Heart winners, that I wouldn't have the opportunity, as a white person to share my stories because we were the first black intercollegiate football team in 1867 won the game 4-0 against Salisbury. And the story goes that they actually made the ball because they didn't have the money to buy the ball. They actually made the ball. They took horses and wagons up to Salisbury, North Carolina, and they won the game 4-0. I said to the one guy, he was 86, and he said, yeah, I saw it. I was just a kid. I said, how do you win 4-0? He said, back in those days, a touchdown only counted for 2 points. And a field goal counted for 1, so they had 1 touchdown and 2 field goals, so it's 4-0. And it seriously, it's a historical fact in 1867 that Johnson C. Smith won the game. And I'm not bragging about myself, but I've been very blessed, and you can look this up. I've been known as the first Euro-American, All-American ever out of a black college or university, and I was president of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes at a black university, which gave me a great opportunity to share the ministry and learn things from others who I know of like a dozen of them that are now pastors of major churches in North Carolina, South Carolina, and they're doing great work. It's just amazing how the news today just puts out the negative, but there's so much positive people out there, like this radio station, bringing out how God's moved me, because I was sitting there really, and I didn't really think I'd even be here today. And I'm just thankful that Chuck has invited me to share my testimony with y'all, and I'm going to continue to get better, physically and spiritually.
Well, why don't we close with name your 2 books and how they can purchase them.
One of them is The White Golden Bull by Zulon.
Okay, that's The White Golden Bull.
That's me.
Okay, and because now your college team were the Golden Bulls, right?
Right.
So you were the White Golden Bull.
That's what they call me, the White Bull. Full bull.
Does your wife call you bullheaded still?
Yes, she does.
Okay.
And sometimes I deserve it.
Okay.
Amen to that, brother. But the other one is The White Golden Bull, how faith has carried us far. And it's more written. That was actually published. The other one was self-published by myself. The other one was published by Too Smart Publishing, and you can find it on Amazon anywhere. But they sort of condensed it. The first one has more pictures about how Atlanta grew. I grew up on Stewart Avenue. My mom had MS. My dad hurt his back when we grew up on Stewart Avenue, which, as people know, is a rough area. It's been that way since 1946. It's now metropolitan. And I had more pictures how my football team was totally white. And I remember to this day how Vincent came along in the 7th grade and became the first black football player, and how Hank Aaron Jr. also played with me.
Oh, wow. You
know, Hank moved down the road, Rico Cardi, Joe Toy. I worked with Joe Toy's sub shop for a little bit as a kid. I always worked at night. My mom had MS. I moved over southwest Atlanta. I was able to also have Ken Johnson, who was a pitcher for the Braves. His son played with me, and a lot of other kids. But it's just how Atlanta was perceived, and there was sort of a migration in the 10th grade. I want to say 1970, 71. I went back to play football in 72, I believe it was. And the team was split 50% black, white. I went back and I looked at my buddy Frank. I said, "What happened?" He said, "Chet, it looks like you're the only one left." Everybody had moved out to College Park. Most of them were at the airport, College Park, or to East Point. They were the better sections. And I think they didn't move out because of racial tension. I think they moved out for an opportunity to get closer to work, and plus, get better programs, because they had more weights in other systems. The Atlanta school system was suffering in that department as far as equipment. We did not have the equipment like East Point did, the weight systems and all that. We didn't even know what weights were in high school. So that's why my book sort of shows my journey. My first one shows in pictures, my dad and me, and how, you'll start looking, you see me only white in my high school picture, you see me the white in my college picture. And my other book basically is more writing on the Bible and how spiritually God has gotten me to where I am. But He's humbled me in the last couple of years, and He said, "Chet, you need to slow down and you need to do some right things." And there's a possibility that I may be writing a third book. I've talked to a few people out there, and I really think that we need to come together as a nation and get God back where it needs to be.
Absolutely, no doubt about that.
We got to get it back to where we're going to have to do it. We're going to have to do it. Just yanting and yelling and screaming is not going to get it done. Somehow, the only way we can get done is through God, and God's got to move people in certain directions, which I know is being happening right now. But we all have to be on the same page here.
Absolutely.
And that's just my testimony to God.
Well, Chet, we really, really and truly appreciate your willingness to share some very personal things with us today. Your testimony is going to influence people that hear it in more ways than you can even imagine. So we thank you so much. I have one final question for you. Chet, do you believe that through all that you endured physically and emotionally throughout your life, that God has healed you for a reason, and that you're fulfilling that reason, and that everything He did for you, you would call a God thing?
Yes, because a month ago, I was sitting there in my chair, and I didn't know where I was headed. I couldn't even get out of my chair. As a matter of fact, I couldn't even watch sports. I I hadn't laid it in a bed in 3 years. And I just was basically giving up. And I know through my physical change that He's given me, prayer, where I'm at, that my heart's changing, and there's things that I need to be done in the right way to make changes, not only in my life through God, but He's leading me in baby steps toward the right next spot, just like this radio show. I hope you're listening out there, because I hope I'm helping people, because when people tell you there's things that can't be done, or there's doctors not out there, or whatever, prayer, pray, because I'm a living testimony of where I'm at today. I mean, I would not be here today. And it's not drugs or anything else. It's just, bottom line is, I was tired, and the Lord said He wasn't through with me, and He gave me another shot through the right people, and I know He guided me, because He moved me like a mountain. And I used to weigh 500 pounds, and now I weigh 200, and I feel pretty good, and I just know I got a lot of years ahead of me, and I'm going to make the best of it through the Lord.
Well, thank you very much for being with us today. You're going to help a lot of people, Chet. Thank you,
sir.
One more thing. Our primary goal for this program is to share these incredible God thing stories with anyone who'll listen. In fact, we've discovered over the years that sharing God thing stories is a great way to witness to both friends and strangers. Who won't listen when you begin a conversation with, "Gosh, I'm so excited you won't believe what happened to a friend of ours last week"? To us, telling a story is much more comfortable than beating someone over the head with Scripture. That can come later. So please feel free to share any of the stories you hear here on our radio program with your friends and relatives. Wow, what a great half hour this has been. Tune in next time for more great God Thing stories, and tell all your friends to tune in too. Oh yeah, one more thing. If you or someone you know has a verifiable story which needs to be told, please email a brief summary to us at mystory@itsagodthingradio.com. That's my story, all one word, at itsagodthingradio.com. See you next time.